Is it doing it on the right page? We should be going live. Okay. I'm optimistic that it's working.
Yeah, I see it on my phone.
Yes. Okay, good. You never know.
Excellent.
Okay, wonderful. I'll just give it just one more second just to fully get there. All righty. So, hello everyone. Welcome to Escondido Public Library's virtual author chat series. This episode is in partnership with Mysterious Galaxy Bookstore. I'm one of your hosts, Jessica, Adult Services Librarian.
And I am Cathy, Janovitz, Teen Services Librarian. Today we are joined by authors ZR Ellor, FT Lukens, and Alexandra Overy. Welcome. Thank you.
Yay!
So much for joining us today. Yes, I got lost on my line. I'm like, what am I saying? Anyway, but yes, here we are. You can order books by these authors from the Mysterious Galaxy Bookstore. You can now walk into their store and pick up books. Before they only had curbside pickup, so that's lovely now. And the links are going to be put in the chat description. And if you have any questions for our authors, please feel free to use the little teeny chat box, put in a question, and we will try to get those into our conversation today.
Yes.
Oh, I get the first question. So excited. Okay. So let's see. It's a super basic question. Everybody loves those. So tell us about you. Give us your life story, your dreams, your aspirations. Just, tell us about the inner you. And anyone can go first. Feel free. No pressure.
Who will unmute first?
I'll go first then.
Good job.
So, hi, I'm so excited to be here partly because I love libraries and also because I love Mysterious Galaxy. It's one of my favorite bookstores. I live in LA, so it's like a bit of a drive, but it's always worth it. And yeah, so my name's Alexandra Overy. My debut just came out like 6 weeks ago. Yep, These Feathered Flames. Oh, it's so cool to see a library copy. It's a queer YA fantasy retelling of the Russian folktale The Firebird. And I just revealed the cover for the sequel today. So if you would like to look at that, it's on various social medias.
Excuse me.
Yeah, and I'm about to introduce myself, but I feel like that sums it up for now.
Yeah, and I can go next. I'm ZR Ellor. I'm the author of the YA contemporary novel, May the Best Man Win, which is about a trans boy challenging his ex for Homecoming King. And I'm also the author of the forthcoming YA contemporary novel, Acting the Part, which is about a non-binary teen TV star fake dating their co-star in order to convince their showrunners not to kill off their on-screen FF romance. And the adult fantasy novel Silkfire about a vengeful bisexual courtesan who is accidentally chosen to save the world. I have a BA in English Lit and Biology, and my hobbies are running, playing video games, and cooking.
Oh my gosh, you've answered all the rest of the questions.
Yay, panel done. Bye, everyone.
Hi, I'm FT Lukens. I am the author of In Deeper Waters, which is a high fantasy fairy tale. And I live in the mountains of North Carolina. In Deeper Waters happens to be my 6th published novel. And I write mainly fantasy, contemporary fantasy, and sci-fi. And I have the upcoming So This Is Ever After, which is another fantasy that is about a group of questers who fulfill the prophecy and then realize they have to run the kingdom and they have no idea what they're doing. So it is a rom-com in a castle is what it is. So yeah, that's it.
Excellent.
I love it. I love everything. This sounds so amazing. I can't wait to hear more about our later questions. So our next question is, what was your journey to becoming a writer? Who wants to go? I feel like you started the trend. You need to go first again, Allie.
I can start.
Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
so I first decided I wanted to be a writer when I was about 12 years old. You know, I was always kind of a bookish, nerdy kid. I really loved reading. It was always a big love of mine. And then when I was about 12, I kind of started writing stories of my own, mostly because I got kicked out of theater because I was trying to be like a theater kid and I wasn't a very good actor. And so I got kicked out of middle school theater. And so that was when I started writing as my new kind of little creative outlet, and I just really fell in love with it. And so it was a part of my life all the way through college. And then after college, I got into publishing professionally, and I built my network while writing my first few books that are going to be published over the next few years.
Thank you. Okay,
You go.
Okay. Well, I have always been a voracious reader, and I started reading really early, and just loved reading books and going on adventures in a book. I've always loved sci-fi and fantasy, and comic books and that kind of stuff. When I was in third grade, we had a writing assignment of a short story, and I wrote a medieval fantasy short story that I still remember. And then since then, I've just been, writing little short stories and writing, just all throughout college and then after. And then, a little bit later, I was like, I think I want to try to do this professionally and try to get something published. I'd always written shorter things and short stories and novellas. And then I started trying to branch out and write in the longer novels. And yeah, so it's always been something that I've enjoyed. It's always been, I think it kind of goes hand in hand with the fact that I love reading and that I've always loved sci-fi and fantasy and have always, been drawn to that media, and then wanted to kind of try my hand at creating my own worlds and creating my own adventures, and then just practice until I decided to try it and get published. So.
I feel like mine is fairly similar answer, that I was a reader from a very young age. My parents very much encouraged reading. They had this rule that if we went, out shopping, the thing I could always ask for was a book. And I think they were hoping to encourage my love of reading and didn't anticipate how much that would affect me and mean I have terrible self-control when it comes to buying books. And yeah, I think for me, it always kind of went hand in hand, was that I loved reading, especially fantasy. I loved the escapism of it. And so I just sort of began creating my own worlds. I have these books, quote unquote, I wrote when I was 11 or 12 that I have in little notebooks with my cover drawn on and stuff like that. And just kind of grew from there. I had a problem for a long time that I could never finish things. I could never, no matter what the length was, it could be a short story, it could be a novella, a novel, I wouldn't be able to finish it. I get to a certain point and be like, nope, can't do the end. And so then in 2016, I decided, I was like, this is my New Year's resolution this year. I'm just gonna have to do it. For all of this time, I've written stuff, I've had all these stories in my head, and I'm actually gonna finish something. And yeah, it worked. For some reason, that deciding to do it worked, which sounds so simple, but somehow isn't. yeah, so then I wrote, that was my first book, and then I got into the sort of like online writing community, actually how I met Zabe. We were or still are in a writing group together. And yeah, it sort of like went from there with like critique partners who are so encouraging, and that just helps you to like learn and grow and keep writing. And then, yeah, now we're here.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your journeys and your experiences with us. And I just want to do a shout out to everyone watching. Thank you for joining us. Thank you to everyone in the comments. Just remind people that might not have been here at the very beginning of the chat. If you have questions for the authors, please paste those into the comments and we will get to those as they come up.
Excellent. So, Jessica, would you like me to do the current Facebook question, or do you want me to move forward with?
Oh, wonderful. Let's do it. I didn't even see it.
Okay. So, Jenny asks, how did you get such amazing cover designs? And I know most authors don't really have much, control over what the cover is sometimes. So let us know how you guys ended up with these amazing covers.
I mean, I know on my part, like we don't really have much control of it, so it's kind of luck. It's I got an editor who she had a very similar vision to me for the book. Like right after I signed the contract, I was like, I got a little document ready to be like, this is the style cover I like. I love this and this and this. And then before I'd even sent it to her, she sent me something saying basically the same thing. So I was like, cool, we're on the same page about this. And then I was just so lucky. I got this amazing illustrator, Marissa Aragon Ware. You should go follow her on Instagram because she does amazing stuff. She does sculpture too, and yeah, amazing, all of it. So yeah, I feel like it's not a very helpful answer necessarily, but it is a lot of it in publishing. I think when you do traditional publishing is partly luck, is that, because ultimately, even if I'd hated the cover, which I obviously don't, but because I love it, but like even if you don't like a cover, you don't really have that much say over changing it because there's so many other aspects that go into it. But yeah, I definitely lucked out on that one.
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, go on.
Yeah, is very similar to where we talked about the book and the direction that we wanted to edit it towards and everything, and then we knew that we wanted to go with an illustrated cover, and the publisher like found an artist and sent me some samples of their work, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. And then I saw a sketch and got to just it was pretty perfect in the beginning already. There was one thing about one of the characters' legs and I was like, can we maybe not give him such a long stride? And then that was it. That was the only critique I had. And then the colors, the font on the title, I mean, all of that was just great. And the publishing company, and then Sam Schechter, who drew the cover, amazingly talented person. Again, you can follow them on Instagram. So all the design elements and everything were taken from there and made. And I saw a proof and I was like, this is it. This is amazing. No changes needed. And actually, I got something in my email today for my next book that's cover shaped, and it's so cool. And it's the same artist. That's probably all I'm allowed. I probably said too much, but hopefully that'll be able to be revealed soon too.
Yeah, and so for me, I was very much like, it was sort of funny. I'd never even thought about what a contemporary YA cover would kind of look like for me, because I'd always been a fantasy writer up until I wrote this book. It's actually the first contemporary novel I'd ever written. So I didn't have any expectations in my head of what I wanted the cover to look like. And so, I just told my editor, just go and find someone, and it would be really great if you could find a trans illustrator or designer to take this on. But aside from that, just like do whatever you think would work. Because like because cover it's kind of an important marketing tool, and so it's really important to me that the marketing team be on board and that everyone at my publisher be on board. And so but then so my editor, she went and she brought on Jay Yang, who was the illustrator behind the design. And then the moment she sent me their sketch, I just knew that like this was it. This is what it had to be. Like I love the energy. I love the chemistry between the two characters. I love the way, like the subtle indicators that that this is a trans book, because you have the colors of the trans pride flag featured very prominently, but also not in an like in a very joyful way, in a very exciting and energetic way. And and kind of as I was looking at it, I was like, this would be like this would be like kind of how my characters would want to be portrayed, and this would be the cover that would make my characters feel happiest with it. So that's how I knew that it was just absolutely a keeper from the start.
Let's see. Okay, that's great. I love cover stories. I hear a lot of people who say they love it. So it's nice to know that people actually listen to you and do good work. Yay! Okay, so next question. So tell us and our lovely viewers. Oh, there's 10 people in the room. Sweet! I love double digit. Give us a little rundown of each of your books. Like what happens? What's the gist? What's the exciting business?
Always the hardest, pitching a book out loud.
What do? You say whatever you want.
Yeah. No, I'm going to cheat because I'm going to steal what Zabe said about my book about like a year ago, and I use it every time I have to pitch my book.
Excellent.
Which is, it's Frozen. If Anna was the magical gay sister, which I just think encompasses it really well. So, yeah, I definitely use that at like every opportunity to pitch. I'm like, yep, going with that. But yeah, slightly more detail, I guess. It's about two powerful sisters, one who's going to be queen, one who's going to be the Firebird, which is this magical creature that keeps magic in balance. And when their mum dies suddenly, the powers are sort of like thrust upon them, and they have to go and like figure out court politics and intrigue and a bit of a murder mystery, and then some queer enemies to lovers, all those fun things in there.
Perfect. There you go.
Yeah, and I think, okay, so May the Best Man Win, and I mentioned this before, but it's such a great pitch and I love it. It's about a trans boy who challenges his ex-boyfriend to run for homecoming king. And so they broke up the summer before their senior year, right before Jeremy came out as trans. And so the book is kind of their back and forth as they compete to win this title. And, of course, and it turns out that, Jeremy coming out and transitioning has all these unforeseen consequences at school and in the institutions around him. There's a lot of different ripples that he can't exactly control, and so he kind of has to learn to navigate, okay, how do I navigate the world now as an out trans person? And Lucas is also dealing with, family issues and issues with his own identity, and he's kind of on his own journey. And so it's really about these two different boys kind of figuring out who they are and how they want to navigate the world in the middle of this really fun battle and you can tell I'm a fantasy writer because I just frame everything as a battle. But in the middle of their back and forth battle for Homecoming King.
So one of my dogs is barking in the other room, so I apologize if you guys can hear that. But so in Deeper Waters, it was pitched as Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue meets Pirates of the Caribbean. But I have seen a better pitch recently on TikTok, actually, where someone said it is a queer Little Mermaid retelling from the prince's point of view. And I was like, you are correct. And that's the best pitch I've heard for it. So basically it's about this prince who goes on his coming of age tour. He has a forbidden magic and he's had to keep it hidden, but he's turning 16, and so he goes with one of his brothers on to go tour the kingdom, which is their tradition, and he meets this character Athlin, and then there kind of starts off this adventure of pirates and kidnapping and magic and mermen and all sorts of stuff. So it's just a fun adventure fantasy romance, a lot of romance.
I remember when you first responded to my tweet, like way back in the past, and I was like, pirates? Like, I can't, you can't say no to there's pirates involved.
No.
As soon as you say pirates and make it gay, like, I will buy that book instantly.
Oh God, the
Love
number
it.
of people who had their queer awakenings due to Pirates of the Caribbean
Yes.
and Keira Knightley.
Pirates the Pirate King? Come on.
Between Keira Knightley and Orlando Bloom, just a whole
Yeah.
like generation of bisexuals.
Exactly.
So true, though.
True. That and the Mummy, like the Mummy movie.
Oh, interesting.
That's amazing. And I love those movies.
Queer awakening movies.
Exactly.
Make a list. Oh, that was good stuff.
Okay, so the next question is, what inspired you to write this particular story? So these books, what inspired you, and what were the challenges in bringing that to life?
I'll go because I just realized I'm still unmuted. But I think for me, the heart of the story and the thing I really wanted to do is to write a story about sisters. I'm very close to my own sister. Siblings in some way always sort of form some part of whatever I write. But I've never had one where the sibling relationship was like really the foremost relationship. Although there's romance, there's all sorts of other things. Basically, the most important relationship is the relationship between the two sisters. And I think that was what I really wanted going in. And I knew right away that it was really important then to have their two perspectives and to have their two perspectives very distinct. And so I think that was definitely one of the challenges with it, was going into... Oh.
Yeah, it looks like Allie is just just needs to restart her internet connection. Well, I can talk a little bit about my inspiration while we're waiting. Is that basically, so when I started writing the books, there weren't a lot of books on the market that kind of portrayed what it was like to be trans from a lived experience point of view. Everything else was out there, just had trans supporting characters in storylines that were, kind of stereotypical, or that really centered cis people reacting to trans people. And so kind of what I wanted to do in writing this book, and when I was writing it, I was also in conversation with a bunch of other trans authors, many of whom have had books come out this year that also reflect the trans experience. And so what I wanted to do was really capture kind of how it feels those first few months coming out and transitioning, or at least how it felt for me, as a fairly privileged white person, growing up in a fairly progressive area. And so that was really my goal, is to kind of use those experiences and to kind of craft a narrative from them that would be more authentic to that experience than really anything else that was currently on the market. And I really wanted to create something that would kind of center the feelings of trans people in plots where they had previously only been secondary characters.
So I started writing in Deeper Waters in 2017, I think. I was writing another book. I had written a sci-fi trilogy, and I had written a contemporary fantasy duology. And I was like, I don't want to write anything other than a standalone. I just want to write a standalone book. And I hadn't written high fantasy before, but I knew I wanted to write something kind of joyous and fun and that just made people happy. So I decided to write a fairy tale, and I started writing it for National Novel Writing Month in 2017. I was writing another book, and I can't remember which one it was, and I was getting stuck, and I didn't want to not finish Nano, so I started writing this in Deeper Waters at the same time, and I would switch off between projects. And the other book I was writing was a little more serious in tone, and it was either the last of the trilogy. I think it was the last of the trilogy, and so there was a lot of minutia that had to go into it, and it had to be written. I don't want to call it a slog, but it wasn't fun. So I wanted something fun to do. And I had these scenes in my head for In Deeper Waters. Well, it wasn't that at the time. I just had some scenes in my head that I knew I wanted to write. So that's where that book started. And then the challenge of it, though, was that it took 2 years. I didn't finish it until 2019 because I kept getting interrupted. I would start it and write it and be like, oh yeah, this is fun, I love writing this, and then, oh, but I've got to set this aside, I've got to go work on this, and then, oh, I've got to edit this, oh, I've got to write this now, and so it kept getting pushed aside and pushed aside and pushed aside. And then finally, when I was pretty much done with all commitments, I was like, okay, I'm going to finish this. And I finished it. But like I said, it took 2 years to finish it. And by the end, when it was all done, it was so disjointed. And because it took so long to write. And my skills and stuff had changed, and some my perspectives on some things had changed, so I had to go back and like heavily edit it too. And so really the writing process for that one was very different than anything else that I had written, because usually I can write pretty quickly and not be interrupted with other things, but that one was very different. But I just wanted to, like I said, write something happy and fun, and something I challenge myself with it, but also just do something I hadn't done before, and have it light and fun and a happy ending. I really, really just wanted it to have like a big happy ending, really no stress for readers involved. I mean, there's some stressful moments. There's a few. There's one scene that made me cry when I edited it. But other than that, I mean, that was my goal, was just to write something happy and fun, and that readers could read and then just kind of walk away from being, you know, happy and take that with them for the rest of their day or week.
I feel like happy books, especially like happy queer books, have such like an important place. I mean, obviously we need all kinds of queer books, but you know, and for me, I'm an escapist reader, and I love just being able to go and be like, okay, I don't have to worry about things. I can just be in this happy world where they can go, you know, they can go on an adventure, they can deal with pirates and just be happy and gay.
Oh God, and I'm like the opposite. I'm just like, I want darkness and
Yeah.
drama, and I want things to be like high stakes.
I'm a
believer. Yeah, I like both, and I think there's room for both, and there's room for everything really on a bookshelf.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I think there's times where I want something fluffy and fun, and then there's other times where I want something that's not, and I want to see the characters go through something and get the hurt comfort out of it maybe, but the emotional journey. And it really just depends on the mood. I feel really lucky that In Deeper Waters came out when it did, because we have all just been through some really interesting times, to put it mildly. And I think it's a good book to have out there now, to where people can just relax and have something fun.
It's so true. And I feel as well, I love like this year, you know, debuting this year, I have so many, probably couldn't even name them all at once, other like queer debut books, and that's not even to mention queer books from established authors. So I feel like it's so nice to be sort of writing into this place where we don't have to worry that like our story is the only one that might be seen, and that actually there's tons out there and you can just pick up, like, if you want a stressful book today, pick this up. If you want a fantasy, pick this up. And I think that's really nice as an author, because I know I've heard other writers before, and I mean, FT, you've been writing for a lot longer than me, so maybe you might know more about this, but about how, you know, when you're the only queer book that season, or you're, you know, there's not another, I don't know, sapphic book that year, then it ends up becoming like that's the only one, and then that's the like only narrative and the only option. And yeah, I just think it's really nice as a writer to be in this place where we have so much more freedom with it, because we don't have to worry about being the only story out there. We get so many more, and yeah, I'm happy we're in that place now.
Yeah, I agree, because it's really stressful writing something and then realizing that you know, that's the monolith for right then.
Yeah.
And the queer experience is not a monolith. And so yeah, I agree with that. And I think we're in a time right now where if you go to like LGBTQ reads that Dahlia Adler runs, and there's just lists and lists of queer books, and it's so amazing. And it's so amazing to see all the books that have come out and are coming out. And you know, just in this past spring, there have been so many, which is amazing. And I love it, and I love to see it. And like you said, be able to go, you know what, I want a queer fantasy today, a queer contemporary tomorrow, and be able to get it and to have it. So yeah, that's an excellent point.
Oh, yay, conversation. Let's see. Oh, it's so funny. The Jenny who asked us about your covers, or asked about your covers, we talked about the two Pirates of the Caribbean and the other movie. Oh my gosh, my brain.
The Mummy.
Thank you. And I'm like, she's like, do you like Spider-Man? So
Also, yeah.
I mean, I think most people like Spider-Man. I mean, it's a cool dude. He does stuff.
I have a little bit of a Spider-Man.
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
All Spider-Man?
They're all Spider-Man.
Oh my god.
Oh wow, I couldn't tell that.
I did not notice. Okay, so yes, she does like Spider-Man.
Okay, so definitely yes on that.
So I feel like Peter Parker is trans.
I could see that.
I'm just gonna put that out into the world. Peter Parker is definitely, I don't feel like defending this too much. I just think that he is, and it explains like a lot.
I think we're all here with you on that.
You should write that book.
Marvel, if
Yeah,
you're
Marvel.
listening,
Get a deal with Marvel.
Marvel, if you're listening, call me. I will write that.
I have been tweeting into the void for years now, going, "Hey Marvel, please
Marvel,
let me
hire
write
FT.
something for you." If not Spider-Man, then I will take Young Avengers. I will take Scarlet Witch. I love Wanda Maximoff. Hit me up, Marvel.
Is anyone here a Venom fan?
Ooh.
I haven't seen it actually, or any of the comics of it. I saw hide over here.
One of my like favorite upcoming I think 2022 queer books is disclosure, it's by a client of mine, AJ White's Hell Followed With Us, which is like a queer post-apocalyptic horror novel, and very, very much inspired by like Venom, but a trans boy. I am so excited for this book, and that's my little plug. If you like Venom,
So, how do I get an arc of that?
Yeah.
I will send you one. I will have one. I'll email you afterwards and get some on your way.
Yes, send one to Jessica. Oh, I want to read that.
I'm jealous.
Yeah,
Wanna go that
NetGalley.
way?
Hopefully, NetGalley will open up soon.
Yeah.
I wrote it
Oh, I
down.
love that guy.
I wouldn't forget.
Excellent.
That sounds good. Anyway, I'm excited for the next Venom movie. Yeah.
Oh god, it's so funny. I love that, like the little voice that they do.
Oh, it's perfect. Oh, okay. Let's see. Where we got lost in Spider-Man. And, that happens a lot. Sure, he enjoys it. Let's see what's happening. Okay, what are we doing? Oh my gosh, we have a Facebook question, but I think we're just gonna step quickly to number 5. Or do you want to skip that, Jessica? Yeah.
I need to keep refreshing my Facebook because they aren't loading as fast as yours. So let's do
Apparently I am
Facebook.
special. Okay. Let's do this one because and then we'll get to the Facebook question. So let's see. What is it? Oh my gosh, I can't read. I know CR, you touched on this when you were talking about your book and the trans representation. So why was it important for you, for your book, to have an LGBTQ representative, but represent?
I feel like none of us can decide who's going first. So I'll just go first again.
We'll just sit here.
We'll sit in silence for a bit. Oh, sorry, now my dog's barking. I mean, I think for me, it was just, I don't know if it was even like a conscious decision. It was just, that's what I want to see in books. And that's what especially writing in the YA space, that's what I would have liked to see as a teen. And like, that would have made a big difference to me as a teen in terms of understanding my own queer identity. So it just sort of was a natural part of it for me. Like I was planning the relationships and the side plots and everything. And I was like, well, obviously they're all going to be gay. So I feel like it just sort of, it was a fairly like natural progression for me, especially as this is like, although not my first published book, this was like my 4th or so manuscript. And I feel like I was also at a place where like I had such a nice like queer writing community around me. Again, sort of like unintentionally, we all just like flocked together, which is always nice. So I felt like I was in, just like a really good place to be able to write that. So I couldn't have imagined not writing that, including queer characters. And so maybe that's an unhelpful answer, but.
I agree. I just don't see writing without queer characters. And I agree that I think it would have been super helpful for me to have access to books with different queer characters and as a teenager. And I do feel that any teen, young adult, or even adult should be able to pick up a book or watch a piece of media or, see themselves represented in fiction and see themselves represented as a hero or a positive representation, not always pain, not always a side character, and not always, for different audience, written for a different audience than the community. So yeah, I don't think I will ever write anything that doesn't have queer characters because it's part of life. It's most of my friends are queer, so it's yeah. Sorry, that kind of trailed off.
Yeah, and I think for me, it was just that important thing of wanting to write that representation and that experience that just wasn't there. Because I remember like, being a kid, like I kind of like I knew what it was. But it's so different now for queer kids, but just like growing up, like I knew what it was to be gay and I knew what it was to be a lesbian and I kind of knew what it was to be bisexual, although everyone was like, oh, bisexuals are just faking it for attention. And but really the only like knowledge I had of what it was like to be trans was very outdated, and it was very very like much through a medical framework where it's like, oh, you must have like this kind of dysphoria and you must like check all these very complicated boxes, and like trans people always know that they're trans and you're just like born knowing, and if you don't feel these exact like few ways about your gender, then you're not really trans. And so what I wanted to kind of do was dispel those misconceptions and kind of like write a book that really got down and deep into how messy it can be figuring out your gender identity and all the different ways you interrogate yourself and the different aspects of yourself and the different aspects of your life to try to like validate yourself when you're on this journey, because I wanted to write something that would resonate with teenagers who are also on that journey and who are also kind of figuring out who they are, and how they fit, because I really wanted to push back against those existing stereotypes and kind of honor the messiness and the struggle of that process that is growing into yourself.
Oh yeah, Facebook question. Okay, thank you. That was lovely. Let's see. Oh, so it's an interesting question. It's very funny from Katya. Let's see. Oh, if you were to cosplay a character from your novel, this is a really good question, actually. Who would it be and why? There you go. Think on it.
Sorry if my dogs are being a little bit silly, which is why I have to go wrangle them quickly. But I feel like my instinct is, if you read the book, my instinct is to say Mishka, who is the bear, because that would just be really fun. And because I love the bears in the book, but I feel like one that'd be just like really fun to create. Not that I'm good enough at sewing or anything to do very good cosplays, but would be Isabessa in like one of the later scenes. She dresses up as a saint who was known as the girl who grew claws, and so she has these like metal sort of claw jewelry and all that sort of aesthetic, which I think would be super fun.
Yeah, I think if I were to dress up like a character, I'd probably dress up as Jeremy, but he has a lot of really great outfits in this book. So I think I'd probably like do maybe like his cheer uniform. and like do that like the blue and gold cheer uniform with some pom-poms. And unfortunately, I'd also have to like bleach my hair to do that. And my hair just like doesn't take dye. I've wanted to be blonde for like the longest time, but like my hair just doesn't let me. And I think that's very sad.
Rude.
Time for a wig.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Just buzz cut wig.
Yeah.
I don't know, because I was thinking about outfits, and one of the character runs around barefoot all the time, and I was like, that wouldn't be bad unless you're cosplaying like at Dragon Con or something. You wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah.
So so not that one, not Athlon. But I'm not very Tal-ish. He's the prince. So I'd probably be one of the brothers. Either Garrett or Kest. Probably Kest, because he can turn into a bird. And I would just like have feathers everywhere. Kind of not off topic, but I go to Dragon Con every year, and I do cosplay at least one day while I'm there, and I've done several of them. But this, and of course it was canceled for last year. So for this year, I am going to cosplay as Moira Rose, acting as her character from The Crows Have Eyes 3.
Oh my god, yes.
That's the best.
Oh
That
my
is
god.
Dr. Clara Mandrake. So
Oh
I'm
my god.
gonna wear a lab coat with like black feathers all over it, and then like do because my hair is that color, so I'm gonna like style my hair and do like the makeup and stuff and be Dr. Clara Mandrake, but Moira Rose playing Dr. Clara Mandrake. So
When is this, like, photos?
I need pictures.
When is Dragon Con?
it is Labor Day weekend in Atlanta.
Okay. I'll be prepared to see pictures from this.
Oh yeah, I'm totally. My nephew and his boyfriend are coming with me, which is really cool. They've never been to a big con before, but they have asked me if they can come with, and I said yes. And they're actually cosplaying as Talon Athlon from.
Oh my god.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's gonna be amazing.
That's
My
like, oh,
nephew-
that's so nice.
You're like,
It
so
is
cute.
cool. He's my nephew's 17, and he texted me and said, hey, is it okay if I cosplay as Tal when we go to Dragon Con? I was like, what do you mean, is it okay? Yes.
Required.
So we were talking, and then he said, hey, can my boyfriend come with me? And I had to talk to everybody's mom. And then yes, the answer came back yes. And so they're coming with me, and then the boyfriend Connor, he said, he was like, well, can I cosplay as Athlon? And I was like, of course.
It's really iconic.
Yeah, it's gonna be amazing. They're gonna be awesome, and I'm gonna be covered in feathers.
The perfect Dragon Con. Oh, it sounds so awesome.
It does.
Oh.
People, events.
Can't wait for. Yeah, I was gonna say I
Events.
can't wait for like in-person stuff. Seeing
Me
people.
too. It's been too long.
Okay, it's your turn,
Okay.
Jessica.
My turn. Okay. What is the most rewarding part of the writing process? Being done.
I think for
Yeah,
I
the
think for
end.
me it's when I get to edit. Because I love editing and I hate drafting. I think drafting is the worst thing in the world. But I love it just like when I can get right up in there inside a draft and just like make every little paragraph perfect and just go line by line by line and just like make sure everything is just like tuned and sparkling and wonderful. I'm just an endless rewriter, and that's my favorite part of the process.
I feel like mine is kind of non-specific, is because there are days when I like drafting, days when I hate it, days when I like revising, days when I hate it. So I feel like for me, it's those like moments. Well, if you're lucky, they're days, but it's often moments where you're writing or you're editing something and you feel like, yes, I've got this exactly like, not necessarily right and perfect, but this is exactly like the feel I want for this, or this is the exact right emotion for this scene. And I feel like that moment is that sort of like the magic of writing for me, is when you get that and the way it is in your head has like come out in the right way on the page. Is just, yeah, that's always so satisfying. Rare, obviously, especially early on in the process. But yeah, that's definitely the best bit for me.
Yeah, I love that part of it. I love when you have like the aha moment where you're struggling with something, or you're in the beginning stages of, well, what if I did this and what if I did that? And you get that moment where you're like, oh my God, I've got this idea. And then it kind of all fits, and it comes together. And that's not, I mean, it can happen in drafting, it can happen in editing. For me, I daydream a lot. Especially
Same.
while I'm at my day job.
What?
I don't know what that's like.
I'm at my job.
So having like being able to brainstorm and think about new ideas and how things are going to fit together, and characters, I love that process too. But I really love those moments that you have that are the little light bulb comes on over your head, like cartoon character, and everything starts to make sense and starts to become cohesive, and oh look, there's actually a plot kind of moment. Or you've been writing for a while and you've kind of set something up, and you get to that point in the where you're writing where you get to pull everything together, and put in maybe your plot twist, or that moment where everything that you've set up kind of comes to fruition when you're writing. I love that part too. The editing part, I am so not the editor. I really am not a fan. It's part of the process. It has to be done because your first draft is never going to be perfect, ever. And you're going to rewrite and rewrite. And that's why you need to love what you write, because you're going to read it 1,000 times. But so the editing part's not my favorite. I'm more of the brainstormer. That's really my part of the process that I really like.
I feel like I'm with you on that. Brainstorming is always fun because, well, not always fun, because sometimes when you want something to fit, but like when you get those moments where it fits and you don't have to worry yet about like executing it perfectly, you can be like, yes, this is the idea and it's exactly right. I like it here. I'm definitely guilty of staying too long in the brainstorming phase because it's safer feeling.
Yes, I'm in a brainstorming phase right now and have been for like a year.
Hey.
Same.
Oh my
And
God.
which is not great because I'm kind of running out of time. So
What are deadlines?
the actual drafting process. But yeah, I have the tendency to kind of stay in that phase a little too long.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah, ditto. I'm normally so good at finishing drafts. Like, I wonder what has been happening this past year that has made all three of us have trouble finishing drafts.
So
now, what could have happened that was so stressful?
Yeah, a lot of writers have, I think pretty much all my writer friends have been struggling this past year. It's definitely not, unusual, at least. So at least we're not alone in this.
Yeah, I mean, like, for me, it's just like so much of my day-to-day creativity is just fueled by like going to places and seeing people. And without that stimulation, it's just very hard to like come back to your computer and think of something new when you've just like spent the whole day doing the same thing over and over and over. And on top of that, just dealing with all this like life or death stress. Like, it is not like, anyone who says you must suffer to produce art is a liar.
Yeah, you can't produce art when stuff's going wrong. You really can't.
For me, it was and I love working from home, and I've worked from home for a very long time for my day job. But I always had things to go do. I have to go to this meeting. And while I'm driving to this meeting, I'll brainstorm, or I'll listen to a book on audio, or something like that. But I am at this desk all the time, staring at my Spider-Man pops. And so my 9 to 5 is here, and then later, after, you know, family stuff and pet stuff and all that, and then come back and sit here and be like, now it's time to write. And I'm like, oh no, I don't want to sit at this desk anymore. And having to, you know, find new places to be, finding new inspiration, and not having that, you know, like you said, having to be able to go out and just experience different stuff to bring back and maybe use it as inspiration, or just get a change of scenery, and to not have that really has been difficult. And it has really, like, I wrote for Nano in 2020, but I have not written a word since.
Yep. That's a very, very relatable feeling.
I've written, but there are a lot of wrong words. So I'm literally, I hope not. I'm back at the beginning, basically, with the things I've written. So it was a lot of wrong words because I was forcing myself to, because I had a deadline, but it doesn't work, unfortunately. And that's the thing with the creative process, is you really can't force it.
Mm-mm.
We have a Facebook question from Jen, just talking about writing. How do you make sure you stick to your work in progress and not let your mind wander off to a new shiny project so your work in progress suffers?
With difficulty.
I think just like for me, it's like once I've never really had like a problem with that. Like I think I'm probably one of the few novelists I've actually like completed more novels than I've finished and abandoned. I don't know what it is. I think like maybe it, like, I don't know, maybe it's just like a brain chemistry thing. But if I'm like, once I like hit the 30K mark on something, then I just get that adrenaline, and I'm just like, okay, like I've hit that 30K, like I need to get through to the ending, because to me that's like the really satisfying part, is writing the ending and seeing everything come together, you know, because I think a lot of the opening of a book, you're just really doing setup. You're just doing like, you're kind of building the platform for all these exciting things to happen later down the line. And so I think once you like structure it so all the payoff is at the end, then that's what really motivates me to finish, is just knowing that I'm writing towards those moments I really want to get to.
I'm the same on that, actually. Like, it's one of the reasons I have to write chronologically, because I think if I just wrote the scenes I wanted, I then wouldn't write anything else. So I feel like that always helps me push through. But in terms of like abandoning the draft for another idea, I think it's a really difficult balance, because it's hard. Because sometimes the reason you want to do that is because you're in like a difficult part. You know, I hate writing middles, and you just have to push through. And you have to keep going, and then you'll get back into your stride on it again. And sometimes it is actually a genuine symptom that something's not quite right. Maybe something doesn't feel right in the book you're writing. Maybe this isn't actually the right project right now. And so you do have to go and try the other one. And I think one of the hardest things is trying to figure out which of the two it is, because it can be really difficult when you're in the middle of it, being like, am I just interested in this other project because it's like shiny and new and I don't have to, you know, don't have all these words to fix? Or is it genuinely that like, this isn't working and I need to go a different way, or like this isn't the right book for me to write at the moment? And I feel like there's no simple answer for it, really. You just have to try and interrogate yourself on it, and try and, I mean, I think it's good to try and push through for at least a little bit, but if you really are still stalling out, I do think it's not necessarily a bad thing to well, for my creative process anyway, I know if I reach a point and I'm really stalling out, I have to leave it, because I will just like bang my head against that wall and not write anything for, you know, weeks, months. So I think, yeah, it's sort of learning your own process and learning how to determine when stuff is working, when it's not, which is, I mean, I say it's like it's easy, it's not easy at all. And I mean, I've had a lot of problems with that with my sequel this year, so I definitely relate. but yeah, trying to sort of figure out the process, having other people to talk to about it as well can really help.
I really agree with that, because I am a chronological writer too. Because and I'm probably not the best person to ask this question to be honest, as you've probably gleaned from the information from the conversation. But yeah, I write chronologically because I know that if I skip to the scenes that I really am interested in seeing and really striving for, I won't write anything else. But also I will write them in a way that it's going to be difficult for me to get to later without that backstory and without, the actual progression of getting there by writing. So, and I do agree with too that when you get to a point on a project and you see come up with another idea or see something shiny and new or see a meme that makes the plot fall into your head or something like that, it's really, are you stuck on the one project because you've lost inspiration for it, or is it not working? Are you at a spot where the plot's not working, or that you need to go back and fix a character or fix a motivation, or it's just going to be a lot of work? And while for me, the fun part is brainstorming and coming up with characters and drafting new things, that's all fun to do, but it's not writing and getting things done. And so sometimes you really just have to kind of push through and get it done. But I do agree that you have to think, is it because the book's not working, or is it because my inspiration's not there? Or this isn't the book for me to write right now. Maybe this is something I come back later to. Like I said, within Deeper Waters, it took 2 years because I had to keep coming back to it and having to go do something else and come back to it. And so This Is Ever After, the book that I have coming out next year, I wrote it in 2 months because the inspiration was there. The structure was there, the story was there, and I really was motivated to get it done. So I did it. But other things I've written, like I said, have taken 2 years. But I run into that a lot too, where I have right now, like I said, I have not written very much at all, but I have a book that like 70,000 words. So it only needs like 15 more thousand words, maybe 20. And it's been languishing for a little while. I have another one that's sitting at like 35,000 words. I have another one that's sitting at like 15,000 words. So I need to pick one and finish and get something done. And the one I really need to get done has like 2,000 words. So sorry, that wasn't a lot of good advice.
I feel like that's such a hard part of being a writer, and it's different for every book and it's different for every project. So I feel like I wish I had a helpful answer to give, but
I do think, like you said, sticking with something and seeing it through, and for you guys, it's hitting that like 35,000 word mark. For me, obviously, it's hitting something much later to be able to stay with it and push through. But it really is, it is work. Writing is work. And I think a lot of people forget that sometimes. Writing is fun. Writing is what I enjoy to do. I love it. But it is work,
I think it can help as well to treat it as work. Like, I feel like for me, one of the things that made me able to, like, when I first finished a novel was, instead of being like, oh, I'm just doing this like for fun on the side, was be like, okay, this is what I'm doing now. Yeah, I'm not paid for it. I haven't got an agent. I haven't got any of that. But this is what I'm doing. It's something I'm passionate about, and I'm going to treat it like it's part of my work day. Like I was in college at the time, but like I would schedule it in as part of that. And I think being able to, like, allowing yourself to take it seriously like that, and allowing yourself to see it as work and as important, I think really makes a big difference, because it's so easy, writing, it's a creative passion. It's so easy for people, especially if there are other people in your life, to sort of like write it off, pun unintended, on this sort of like, oh yeah, it's just like a fun hobby, that's what you do. It's not that difficult to write a book if you have time. And I think, yeah, just sort of blocking that out and allowing yourself to be like, actually, no, this is work, this is what I'm doing, I'm dedicating myself to this, can make just like a huge difference in your brain shift about it. And yeah, sort of makes you more productive with it, I think. And yeah, because you don't feel guilty anymore. You're like, yeah, I'm taking time, I'm working on something I should be working on.
Oh, a lot of stuff. Oh my goodness. Good job. Ooh, let's see. Ooh, this is a good one. So what do you hope readers take away from your book?
So one thing I really hope that readers take away from May the Best Man Win is it's really a story about the power of queer community. And, obviously it's got this romance at its heart, but, it's about so much more than that. And it's really about how the relationships that we build as queer people are what see us together through tough times, because institutions can let you down, and maybe your biological family disappoints you, but those relationships you build with the rest of your community are the ones, like, those are the people who will be there for you and protect you and look out for you, and then in return you have to learn to be a good member of that community. So that's really what I hope that readers, especially queer readers, get from reading this book.
I just want folks to take away joy when they read it, when they read In Deeper Waters. Really, that's what I wrote it for, was to just put a happy ever after in the world for a queer couple, and a supportive family, and different relationships, romantic, but also there's a lot of sibling relationships in it, and friendships, and really I just wanted to write like I've said before, a happy ever after, for queer characters, and for folks to read and come away with, and let that happiness and joy just kind of follow them. So that's what I hope readers take away from.
I love that. And I feel like I'm sort of adjacent to that, because I can't entirely call my book a happy book. So I can't say I would necessarily would like people to come away from it happy. But I think providing escape and the escapism of fantasy is something that's really important to me. As a teen, I read constantly to escape from just general stress of the real world, and I loved being able to step into that world and not having to worry about day-to-day life and all that sort of thing. And I think that's something I'd really like to be able to give with my book, is a place where you can like escape from the real world. You don't have to think about it. Like, there's other things that are stressful in the book, and yeah, it's a duology, so it does not end in a particularly happy place yet, but yeah, I just would like to be able to give like those few hours of escape, those hours where you get to think about something else and get like sucked into this adventure and this story and these characters.
Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Let's see. Oh my gosh, we're getting down to the wire here. This is good chat, everybody. Excellent job.
I know, it feels like it's gone by so quick.
I know. I looked down and I'm like, what? It's 4:39.
Because we talked about queer awakening movies.
Yeah, we like shiny things. We get off on tangents. We end up talking about random stuff. It's good. Let's see. Ooh, this is always, I love this question because people always get super excited, and our viewers and us also like to know, are there any books out now or coming out that you are excited about and want to share with our viewers? I'm ready.
I'm going to sneakily pick up my Goodreads because I can't think of anything otherwise.
So that's
Okay, so
That's fine.
Go ahead.
Oh, so the book I'm reading right now is Winter's Orbit by Verena Maxwell. And it's just if you love, like, it's an adult science fiction novel, and it's about these two noblemen on in this planetary system, and they have to get married in order to finalize an important galactic treaty.
Sounds
And
familiar.
one of them has a lot of, he's very sad. He's never been in a good relationship, and the other one's this very happy-go-lucky guy who just wants to have a good time, and like they're just like slowly figuring each other out, and it's just like this precious slow burn of this one character just slowly realizing that like he is loved and people care about him and want him to be happy. And it's just like, it's the best. It's just all the like joy and like fanficky, just feed it to me on a platterness that I love. And I'm just enjoying it so much.
So
That
good.
sounds amazing. I want that book now.
I am a big fan of it.
It reminds me of something else. Like I've heard the science fiction intergalactic, like two guys have to get married kind of thing. But it wasn't this book, it was something else.
I mean, if there's another one of these books, please give it to me because I want to read all of them.
Maybe it was a dream. I don't. I'll have to dig into my brain.
It's a lot like In Deeper Waters, but in space.
Some things are better in space. It's true.
I'm really excited for A Clash of Steel by C.B. Lee that's coming out soon. It is a queer Treasure Island retelling.
Oh god.
So good.
And C.B. Lee is one of my really, really good friends. I love her to death. She wrote the Sidekick Squad series, which is not your sidekick and not your villain and not your backup. And then there's a fourth one coming.
Oh yeah. Okay.
But she wrote Clash of Steel, and it sounds amazing. And I'm super looking forward to it. And then there was one that came out on Tuesday that I'm super hyped for, and I have the audiobook for it, and I just haven't listened to it yet. But it's and I might get the title wrong. Is 1,500 Miles from the Sun?
Yes.
Somebody else mentioned that one.
Yeah.
I've seen that all over Twitter.
Yeah. Super excited for that one too. It's a contemporary kind of long distance relationship book, and I've been eyeing it for a while, and super excited that it came out on Tuesday, and just waiting for a moment to be able to listen to it on audio.
That's the other problem with not going out so much. You can't do audiobooks on like your drive and stuff.
Exactly. I can't do audiobooks on the drive to work or do the meetings I had to go to. And also when I would drive to like a convention, I would listen to an audiobook all the way down or to there or whatever, and nothing now. So hopefully get back into the swing of that.
Okay, I have one now. As soon as anyone asks me, what's like a book you read that you like, or what's an upcoming one, I'm like, I can't remember a single book I've ever read in my entire life. But one I'm really excited for that comes out in the autumn, I think, is Jade Fire Gold by June C.L. Tan. And basically she pitched it as it's Zutara vibes. So I'm immediately there for it. Unabashed Zutara shipper. So yeah, very excited for that.
That one has a really nice cover.
It does have a really nice cover.
So in this you guys can't see it, but I have another shelf above me.
Oh, okay.
And I have a signed Zuko action figure. I met Dr. Disco, and he signed a Zuko action figure I have, and it's actually like right here.
That's
Oh
so
my God,
cool.
that's awesome.
Him. He's great.
Okay.
I love that he's basically a Zutara shipper. Just throwing that out there.
I'm all there.
So somebody in the chat just told me about something, and I think I misspelled it. Why is Amazon being such a stinky place? Anyway, I look up these on Amazon when we're talking about them. But yes, I was just looking at this the other day. So this might be the book I was thinking about. Okay.
Oh.
Thank you, Heather, if this is actually the right book. Okay, I think this is it. So it just came out recently. Oh yeah, I think this is it. So it's called The Witch King by H.E.
Oh, yeah.
Edgmond.
Oh yeah.
And that one's like,
That's-
to save a fake kingdom, a trans witch must
Yeah.
face his traumatic past and the royal
That one,
fiance
yeah,
he
yeah.
left behind. So I think that's what I was thinking about. Thank you,
Gotcha.
Heather.
That one's really good. You should also
Mhm.
definitely pick that one up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm a huge fan of that one.
I just ordered it actually because it didn't get ordered when it came out. So I'm like, right, we need that.
I
That might
have two
be it.
copies somehow.
Maybe that's in it. I don't know.
We always come away with so many more books to buy after these.
It's
After
ridiculous.
these
Yeah.
chats.
Oh no,
Right.
more books.
No. Oh man, maybe this is it. I don't know. I see too many things. And then I can't trace it back because my brain doesn't do that.
Okay, we are completely at the end because we're over it. So really quickly, we're going to go to our last question and then our closing question. So this is the one that we always ask, and we love hearing everyone's answers because it makes us feel very happy. So what's your favorite library memory?
That is a great question. I have for this I can remember immediately, but books, no. So I loved my school library where I went to school from like ages of 12 to 14-ish. It was just like the safe place for me, and I would go in and the librarians would like throw books at me every day. And one of my favorite memories was reading the Darren Shan Cirque du Freak series, which I don't know if that was as big in America, but in the UK when I was that age, it was really big. And my library had just got the whole lot in, and me and another girl were both like racing to try and get to the next book first. So every morning we come in and be like, okay, wait, has she come already? Like, can I get this book yet? And so we were both trying to sort of outwit the other in getting the next book in the series, because they were pretty short. You could read them pretty much overnight. I had a long bus ride as well, so I was just right on the bus. And the poor librarians, I feel like we tried to bribe them. We tried all sorts of different things to try and like, I'll get this next book next. But yeah, that was just, it was a very fun sort of like community memory of the library.
I remember back in college, we had this really great library, and it had all these little like hidden rooms because there were all these little additions all over the library that different alumni had like paid for over the years, but they were all like built in a different style, and it didn't like make sense how like any of them connected. So like over all the time I was there, I would like every few months I would discover a new room in the library, and it was like always like coming across like these little ancient treasures. And I had this like favorite study spot where like I had this one desk, and I always had to like race other students to get to that desk. It was at the top of a tower where you could look over the balcony and like see like stories and stories of books below. And so like every day I would just have to like race other students, and some days I would just like sit beneath and like watch for someone to get up, and then I'd like run up and take that desk for myself. So yeah, that was my favorite library that I spent time in.
That's really
Also
cool.
competition.
Where I went to college, we had a library like that too, that had all these like little kind of offshoot rooms, and I would go in there, and even after 4 years, and they renovated it while I was there too, and they built this like whole basement with like moving bookshelves and stuff, and it was really cool. But my favorite library memory is when I was in elementary school. I participated in the Battle of the Books, which was a competition, and it was held at our local library where you had a team, and it was this list of books, and you had to read all the books, and then you had to it was like a Jeopardy quiz show kind of thing. And my team was really good, and we won our district, and we went to regionals, and I think we got second place. We did not win, but I do remember holding my little buzzer and buzzing in when you knew the answer to a question, and it was really, really fun. And we had this team. It was myself and then 3 other kids, and we each and it was a list of like 20 books, maybe more, I don't remember, but and we each were responsible for like so many books on the list, and I actually read like 17 of the 20, so I knew most of the questions. Toot my own horn there. From elementary school, I was smart. But yeah, it was really fun, and we only got to do it for 1 year, and I don't remember why we couldn't do it the next year, but it was a really great experience, and it was like being on a little quiz show about books.
I love that all of ours was somewhat competitive somehow.
Oh, good. Those are good library memories. I like those. Some people have boring library memories. Well, they're not all boring. Okay, so in closing, oh my gosh, it's 4:51. What is next for you? What's on the horizon?
Yeah, so go on, Allie.
No, you go.
Okay, so I as I mentioned at the start, yeah, so next year I have 2 books coming out. There's the adult fantasy Silkfire, which is about a courtesan whose quest for vengeance against the aristocrat father who abandoned him is interrupted when a god chooses him to help save the world, and he pairs up with it's got polyamorous romance. It's got it's pretty steamy, and if you like really angsty if you like really angsty sad boys who are bisexual and have a lot of angst, then I highly recommend it. And then I also have Acting the Part, which is my next YA, and again, it's about a non-binary actor who has to fake date their co-star to convince the showrunners to not kill off their on-screen FF romance. And so that's a lot. It's a lot lighter and fluffier than May the Best Man Win. It's contains a lot of my like feelings about how Game of Thrones ended. It's really great, and it's a really great story about like figuring out your non-binary identity and like getting to know people past maybe your initial perceptions of them. And it was just an absolute joy to write. And fun fact, I crashed on Allie's couch for a few days while researching that book.
All the authentic LA places.
Very authentic couch.
Yeah. Up next is the sequel to These Feathered Flames, which is This Cursed Crown. The cover was just revealed today, and I am in love with the cover. It has a release date of April 5th, 2022. I say tentatively. And then I also have my middle grade debut coming out next year, which is The Gingerbread Witch. It's a retelling of Hansel and Gretel from the perspective of the witch's apprentice. So after Hansel and Gretel push the witch into the fire, the apprentice has to find a way to bring her back. Otherwise, all of her creations will turn back into gingerbread, including the apprentice herself. And that was a super fun one to write because I just basically had like Great British Bake Off on in the background and used constant baking metaphors and imagery. It was great.
So I'm requesting arcs of all of those because I want to read them. Next for me is a book called So This Is Ever After. It's my rom-com in a castle. It's kind of like, you know, that scene in the Guardians of the Galaxy where they're like, well, we're a-holes, but not really. It's like that. It's this group of questers who have become kind of this found family. And the very, you know, beginning of the book, they fulfill the prophecy they set out to fulfill. And then they realize that kind of creates like a power vacuum, and they have to actually rule a kingdom, and they have no idea what they're doing because the prophecy ends. And so they have no guidebook, and they just have to figure it out.
I love that.
That's the next thing coming out for me. And then I have a lot of things I can't talk about.
The way of
I'm
publishing.
so excited. I'm so excited about all of your books. Oh my gosh. You're going to have this long list now, but it's amazing. I love long lists. So we are at the end. Thank you so much for staying with us. The viewers, thank you to the authors for giving us a little bit more of your time than we originally thought. So everyone watching, if you're interested in more free online programming like this, don't forget to check out our Facebook events on our website to see all of the fun and free digital events we have planned, like our summer reading program, which is going to be starting the 19th. So make sure you sign up for that. You can win prizes and do all kinds of fun stuff. We hope to see you here again on Facebook, June 17th at 3 p.m. for a live conversation with author Rachel Griffin as she discusses her novel, The Nature of Witches. And if you get a chance, please fill out our very short, very easy, very quick program survey. It's only 3 questions, and it helps us know if you enjoyed this event and if we should make more events like this available to you. So thank you again to everyone watching now and watching later. We hope you enjoy it. Thank you again to the authors, and thank you, Cathy, for joining me.
You're welcome.
Have a great night.
Thank you all.